Hey guys, great is his reward. This is Morgan McGee, writer of the Prosperity versus Austerity Doctrine, why Christians fear joy and hope. I want to talk to you about one of my favorite books of all time, Spiritual Depression by Martyn Lloyd Jones. A lot of people may have this already. Um, I want to talk about the trap I see Christians, the people in the pulpit take. They even in our songs. I'll start off with something from him, page 293. It is also the great principle which characterized the Eastern religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism. All those religions are basically religions that are designed to help people to die to circumstances and surrounding, and to develop an indifference to the world which is around them and about them, and to go through this life, this world, unaffected by circumstances. Why am I concerned about this negative emphasis? The reason I am compelled that compels me to do so is that all such teachings are really hopeless. All those religions are finally pessimistic. Stoicism in the last analyst was profound pessimism. It really came to this, that the world is hopeless, that nothing can you can do any good, and that the thing you have to do therefore is to get through life as best as you can, as just refuse to let yourself be hurt by it. Eastern religions are, of course, entirely pessimistic. We regard much of the regard it in itself they regard matter in and of itself as evil. They regard the flesh as essentially evil. Everything that they say is evil, and the only thing to do is to get through life with a minimum of pain and hope that in some subsequent reincarnation you are rid of it altogether, and at last you absorbed into the lost forever in the absolute and eternal, and then cease to be separate and cease to be as a separate personality. But Morgan, we don't believe that. A mind through which Christ thinks, a voice through which Christ speaks, a heart which Christ loves, a hands through which Christ helps. Does that sound like the Christian church? That's for me asking that question. Uh, and Martyn Lloyd Jones continues on 296. My reply in those terms is my text is nonsense, and it is not only nonsense, but a travesty of Christian teaching. If the Christian is a mind through which Christ thinks, a voice through which Christ speaks, a heart through which Christ loves, a hand through which Christ helps, where is the I? The I has vanished, and the I has been obliterated. The I has no longer present in existence. The teaching represented by the question is that the Christian is a man whose personality has gone out of existence, while Christ is using his various powers and faculties, not using him, but using his voice, using his mind, using his cell, his hands, using his heart, using his hands. But that is not what Paul is saying. Paul says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. Or listen to him elsewhere. You remember that what he says in the second chapter of the epistle to the Galatians, I live not yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. And is there a verse that obliterates the I? Is there this verse that obliterates the I? I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Is it not life? And the life I live in the flesh, I live in the by the faith of the Son of God, who loves me and gave himself for me. The I is still there. The me is still there. Now, my favorite book of all time, Chuck Messler's, he gets rid of the self. Okay? If it were just people that I don't respect, I would not have written my book. Okay? I believe that you have value. Okay? That in your weaknesses and you have struggle, and the great the great temptation is to say those gifts and those promises are not for you, to lower your expectations and not to look, for goodness in the land of the living and to just make it through. I know it feels better when you lower your expectations. That is not what God has called you to do. That is not in scriptural at all. And it's being taught by people. I respect people on the pulpit, people with tens of thousands of people going to their congregations and hundreds of thousands of people listening to their radio show. Please, God's people, buy my book, Prosperity versus Austerity. Of course, buy this book, but please, buy Martyn Lloyd Jones. Just don't take it from, this sketchy looking guy. All right, he flushes this out much better than I did. I, I spent a chapter. He spent many chapters, and he wrote much better than I did. Okay, much smarter, by the way. But in the meantime, while you're waiting for that book to come from Amazon or wherever you buy your great books, go subscribe to my channel. Great is his reward. Go buy my book, Prosperity versus Austerity, and have a great day. God bless you. This is Morgan McGee, signing off.